Hello, I'm Neil Quigley and welcome to the latest episode of my Blogcast. Hope you're good and you've had a nice couple of weeks. Mine have been fun. I have, for as long as I can remember, been a fan of the TV show Fawlty Towers. Always used to watch every single episode whenever it was repeated on television. I actually own DVDs of most of the programs from the only two series that were ever made of the show by John Cleese and Connie Booth. So, as you would imagine, I had to see the new stage play of Fawlty Towers that John Cleese is behind. I went and saw that with my girlfriend Linda a couple of Fridays ago. We managed to get quite a good deal. We actually got tickets more or less in the centre of row 4 of the stalls for £35. We did have to buy them a little bit in advance, but because we'd booked them so long ago, when we turned up at the theatre, I knew we were in the stalls, but I actually had forgotten how close we were. We were so close to the stage, at points it actually felt like we were in the hotel. One thing I think they've done very well as you arrive at the Apollo Theatre in Shaftesbury Avenue and go through to the Stalls Bar at the opposite end from where they're serving drinks, they have mocked up the hotel reception and their signs encouraging you to have your photo taken there. So obviously I was straight in and up for that. Managed to persuade Linda to come and have her photo taken with me, and we managed to get another family who were there to take our photo in return for us taking theirs. We've got a great shot of us standing behind reception in Fawlty Towers. I'm at the guest book looking like I'm signing someone in, just like Basil Fawlty, and Linda is on the phone chatting away just like Sybil. It's perfect, very funny. So that had already made my night before the actual play had even started. I thought the play was brilliant, like the Only Fools and Horses musical, if you've seen that, and I was a massive fan of Only Fools and Horses. They have taken the best parts from all of the shows of Fawlty Towers and quite cleverly squashed and mangled them all together to kind of create one storyline where lots of your favourite guests and moments happen more or less straight after each other, and there's a little bit of crossover that there wasn't actually in the TV series because they were separate stories. The cast, which was handpicked by John Cleese, are fantastic. They're spot on in all the roles they play. I will give special mention to the man who played Manuel. I thought he was very good, but the whole cast were great. Paul Nicholas, remember him from Just Good Friends and many other musicals and TV shows. He plays the Major, and as you would expect, he is fantastic in that role as well. Because I was such a big fan of the TV show, I can pretty much quote Fawlty Towers word for word because there's so many quotable moments and lines, I think, and there's so many of the set pieces and moments that you remember so vividly, or I do anyway. All of them were pretty much included in the hour and 50-minute performance included interval that was unfolding in front of our eyes. I, of course, knew every line that was coming, but when it was delivered in the correct situation, it still made me laugh out loud every single time. Because John Cleese has kind of thrown the kitchen sink at it a bit and tried to include as many of the best bits as possible, the show does fly by really quickly. Obviously, he saves one of the best known scenes and scenarios to the second half of the play, which makes total sense. The second half seems to fly by really quickly, maybe because so much of that is so familiar, and I would have watched those things unfold over and over again on my DVD of the show. I had a great time, really enjoyed it, laughed a lot. It brought back so many memories of the TV show. As I said, the actors playing the roles that you all know so well were great. Many of my favourite guests who stayed at Fawlty Towers made an appearance. Obviously, they couldn't do every single storyline that was in the TV series because it just would have gone on forever. But that does mean if John Cleese did want to make Fawlty Towers the Play Part 2, he still has enough material, I reckon, to write another full stage play and still include lots of things we remember. It would be slightly more niche than the one he has produced because all of the best known moments are pretty much in the one that's currently running in London until January now. If you are a fan of slapstick comedy in general, of course, if you were a fan of the TV show, then definitely go along and see it. It's a fun night out, very funny, and I really am pleased that we did get along and manage to catch it. And if nothing else, we'll always have that photo of me and Linda behind the Fawlty Towers reception. As I have mentioned before, I am celiac, so I have to be on a very strict gluten-free diet. Even the slightest bit of cross-contamination in my food can cause me a problem. Therefore, eating out can be a little bit problematic. I do prefer, if possible, to eat at restaurants that are celiac accredited, which means they have signed off on a special practice and procedure, so they guarantee pretty much they can provide safe gluten-free food. The other places I like going are ones that are fully gluten-free, and there are some very nice restaurants that fall into that category, but they are quite expensive, so they're kind of treat places. But places like that are great for me because that means I can actually order everything off the menu, which generally is something I don't get to do very often. We found a highly recommended fish and chip shop in London, in Soho, in fact, and we ate there the other week just to try them out. They do follow a very good, safe procedure for gluten-free food. For celiacs, I had many reports of how good they were, and as part of the Celiac UK package I pay into, I get an app which will give me either gluten-free accredited restaurants in a particular area or restaurants that have been recommended by other celiacs who have eaten there and said they are safe and fine to eat at. It was called Hobson's Fish and Chips. We booked ourselves a table there, which I'm quite glad we did because it was very busy. It's a takeaway as well as a restaurant. We did have a bit of a queue to get in because there was lots of people in front of us, but as soon as we spoke to the man on reception, he took us straight through to our seats and looked after us. I had a very tasty gluten-free starter of grilled halloumi, and then I had the tuna steak and chips with salad for my main, all of which was great. I had no problem, no reaction from eating there. The food was very good, so I will definitely go back, and probably next time I will try their traditional fish and chips. I am getting better at watching films and movies, mainly because my girlfriend does enjoy trips to the cinema and does like to watch films. There is a huge gap in my film watching through the 80s and 90s where I haven't watched many films that you probably think I should have for my age and the time I grew up. One of those was Beetlejuice. Now, there is a new Beetlejuice film being released this weekend, which Linda really does want to see, and we will go and see it at the cinema at some point. But prior to that, she thought it might be an idea if I saw the original. Now, I will be honest, I was aware of it when it was originally released, but I kind of avoided it at that time because I thought it was a bit of a horror film, and I do not like horror films at all. I don't like being scared. I don't like blood, gore. I just don't enjoy watching those kind of things. So I hadn't watched it. But she convinced me it was actually quite funny and not scary, so I agreed to watch it. So we watched it at home, and I must admit, I really did enjoy it. I laughed out loud on several occasions. It wasn't scary or gory at all. It was just stupid and silly. I do think that everybody probably knows or has encountered someone a bit like Michael Keaton's character in that film, the over-the-top character. It's a bit of a weird story, and it did take me slightly longer than it should have to work out some of the plot points. I won't ask the question I asked Linda about 10 minutes in, just in case it gives away any spoilers. In my defense, I did work out the answer to that question myself very quickly afterwards, but I thought it was really good. I'm actually looking forward to seeing the new film. It should be good. It should be funny. I'm sure it will be equally as silly. And I've ticked off another film from my childhood that I probably should have seen anyway. I am and always have been quite competitive. My girlfriend is the same, and we do sometimes of a Sunday afternoon as a way of relaxing and easing ourselves into the week the following day. We sometimes play some board games. We have got a big Scrabble tournament going at the moment. I won a few weeks ago in our most recent game. Linda beat me. Now, I wouldn't say I'm a bad loser. I'm not, but I do find myself sulking a little bit after I've lost a game of anything. So the Scrabble was lost. Also, in this period, we played a couple of games of Ludo. Neither of us had played it for years. And then we went to this games cafe near King's Cross Station about 2 years ago, and they had Ludo. So we played Ludo there, and on the back of that, Linda bought a Ludo set. We've not played it many times, but we got it out a couple of weekends ago. Now, I do like any dice game. Really do enjoy one of those. Yahtzee is my favourite. I think we can all agree that is probably the premier dice board game, but she didn't have that. And even if she did, she never really liked that. So I probably got zero chance of playing it. So we went for Ludo. We read the rules properly this time. The previous time we played it, we thought you could only get out if you rolled a double six. So the game took absolutely ages. We reread the rules, and it seems as long as you rolled 1-6, you were good to go and get your counter out and start making its way round the board. So we were off and running, just the two of us playing. I think Ludo is probably better as at least a 3 or 4 player game because it makes it more exciting and you've got more chance of catching each other and sending each other back home to the base camp to start again, which adds to the jeopardy. However, both games are very close. The first game, we got all of our counters home bar one, and we got to a situation where we both needed to roll a double 1 to get home and win the game. And Linda got it first and won. Therefore, I demanded a rematch, so we played another game. It panned out in a ridiculously similar way and led to us once again both having 3 of our 4 counters home and just needed to get the final one home. And also, once again, we needed both to roll a double 1 to get that victory. And once again, Linda rolled the double 1 first. I was not happy. It felt like losing 2 penalty shootouts in a row. Very frustrating, and needless to say, the Ludo board went away at that point, and we've not played it again as yet since. There's a new game/sports bar opened near where Linda lives. It's been open 2 or 3 months, and we weren't doing much last weekend. We're having quite a quiet weekend, so we decided to go up there and check it out because it had an indoor crazy golf course. Now, I am a bit of a crazy golf fan. I've played all over the UK, and on a couple of holidays overseas, I've hunted down the crazy golf course and had a few rounds. So I really do enjoy it. Linda and I had played once before when we went up to Norfolk for a few days very early on in our relationship. So we thought we'd give this one a go. It was £12 each for the 18 holes. We arrived, checked ourselves in, got our clubs, chose our balls, and then just walked to the first tee, ready to start. I must say, it was quite a fun and entertaining course. Each of the holes are slightly different. There's some skill involved. There's some bits which are just down to pure luck. There's quite a few people play it, so it is quite busy. So we found we had to wait a little bit for each hole to come spare. So it did mean it took a bit of time, but there's a bar there so you can buy drinks and have a drink as you go round. As I mentioned earlier, we are both very competitive. I'm probably more competitive in the sports arena, and Linda probably just shades it in the board game arena. So I really wanted to win. I'm not going to lie. We started off fairly even. happen. Then I just edged into the lead a little bit and was feeling quite confident. Then I had an absolute disaster at one of the holes, and I thought I'd let Linda back in, and I thought, oh no, I've blown it, I'm going to lose. But we played our way through the entertaining 18 holes. Neither of us managed to get a hole in one, but it was all good fun. We enjoyed it. Didn't fall out. There was a bit of banter, but we were all fine. She let me do the scoring. Now, we weren't adding up the scoring as we went. We just let it go through. And I honestly was not sure who had won at the end. By the time we got to the 18th hole, it felt to me like it was fairly even. We did have a dinner reservation booked after our round of crazy golf, but we had about 20 minutes or so before we were due at the restaurant. So we got another drink in the sports bar and sat down at a table, still had the scorecard and pencil with us, so I worked out the scores. I did it in my head initially to check out my mental arithmetic, and then Linda confirmed the scores with the calculator on her phone. It was a lot closer than I would have liked, but I did actually manage to win by 3 shots, although I didn't check out what the par for that course was supposed to be, but I'm pretty sure we were both a long way over it. So we'll have to go back again and have another go. I think having played that course once, doing it again, you should be able to improve your score. I mentioned earlier when we went to Hobson's Fish and Chip shop that I just had the grilled tuna steak, and that next time we went there I was thinking about trying the traditional fish and chips. The reason I didn't do it this time was about 3 weeks ago I had a routine dentist appointment. In that, they did find that I did need a fill-in, so I booked myself in for that fill-in at that point and knew I had one fill-in to be done in about a month's time. Then, literally 4 days after I'd had that dentist appointment, I was eating my lunch. I had a bit of raw carrot, and as I bit into it, a bit of my tooth chipped off quite badly. It was one I'd had filled before, so I could see there was a bit of filling in there and the actual tooth as well. And it felt really sharp and it was irritating me with my tongue. So I thought, oh great, that's a bit of a problem. I need to get that sorted out. I phoned the dentist thinking, well, I'll get an appointment maybe in a few days or so or whatever. As it happened, they had a spare appointment slot that afternoon. So within about an hour and a half of me chipping my tooth, I was at the dentist and she was putting a temporary filling in there so it was okay to eat, and so I didn't keep cutting my tongue on it, at least till they could get a proper job done. And as it turns out, I will need another equally expensive filling on that tooth that I'd already booked on the other one. Because they're quite long sessions, because of what she will have to do, 45 minutes to 50 minutes, we decided to do it in 2 separate sessions. So I've now got 2 appointments for 2 fillings to look forward to. Haven't had a filling for years, and to end up needing 2 in the space of less than a week, I will be honest, is slightly annoying. It was my mum's birthday yesterday, and I ordered her a card from a well-known online card shop where you can get them personalised and get them delivered. I got the card delivered to me. I personalised it by putting a picture of me and her on the front. Just as I was checking out, and I'd already ordered the large card, it said, do you want to make it a giant card for a little bit extra? Well, I thought it's a special birthday. I thought giant was maybe at best A4 size, maybe slightly bigger than that. So I just ticked it and went, yeah, I'll have that one. A few days later, when the card arrived and the man delivered it, very much could not put it through the door, had to knock on the door and hand it to me. It was huge. This thing barely fits on her coffee table. In fact, you could probably put legs on it and use it as a coffee table. The giant ones, if you order from the same online store as me for your cards, is massive, by the way. Just be aware of that if you're thinking of getting one. I'm still having the acupuncture for my headaches. It does really seem to be working. I am ridiculously relaxed now at having lots of different pins stuck in me and having them removed. I have the sessions about every 2 weeks. Headaches are getting much better, and there's other little aches and pains that I have that she's also trying to work out at the same time, which I think is a fantastic service. First time I've tried anything like this, and I'm really actually quite enjoying it. The headaches haven't completely gone yet, so I'm hoping within the next few months they'll be completely gone and I'll be back to normal on that front. It's been a mixed start to the football season for my team, Tottenham Hotspur, a frustrating draw on our first game away at Leicester, a delightful win in our first game at home when I was sat watching it in my season ticket seat. That was very enjoyable against Everton. And then another frustrating defeat against Newcastle United last weekend. We played well in all three of those games, and I think in two of them we haven't quite got what we deserved, because when we were on top in those games we didn't take our chances. So frustrating. So I'm actually quite glad we're on an international break now, if I'm honest. Gives me a rest, although the international break does end with the North London derby against Arsenal at home. So I'm kind of half looking forward to that and half not, to be honest. Linda and I are lucky enough to be away on our holidays today for a week somewhere hot and nice. I will tell you all about that next time we speak. That's just about it for this time. Just a reminder that you can hear my radio show Saturday afternoons between 2 and 4 at radio9springs.com. Look after yourselves and each other, please. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.